Get ready to gear up. We're taking you inside high school sports, your home team, your rivals. Taking you inside high school sports like no one else. Inside all the action. Inside the excitement. Inside all the games that count. This is Inside High School Sports with Pat Doney.
Welcome to Inside High School Sports. I am your host, Ted Madden. Pat Doney is in Arizona covering Rangers spring training. We have lots of playoff action in today's show as the girls played their regional championships this weekend. We'll tell you which area teams are headed to state, but we start with the boys postseason as they finished up the area round on Friday. One of the most intriguing matchups was in 5A, where defending state champions Dallas Kimball faced one of this year's favorites, Frisco Lone Star, in our Whataburger Game of the Week. Two very good underclassmen in this one, with Kimball's Jalen Dean Vines and Lone Star's Trent Perry. These two matched up against each other early, and Dean Vines strikes first when he squares up Perry and knocks down the three. Good-looking shot there. And then it's Perry's turn. He gets set up in the corner, and Perry rips the net right in front of the Kimball bench. Lone Star then goes closer to the rim. Here Perry lobs it to David Oriaku. You're going to hear that name a lot during these highlights. Lone Star was up 7 at the break. Second half now, Lone Star really cranks up the highlight machine. Perry gets a steal and then hammers home the one-hander. The ups on that kid. Oriaku gets another jam, this time from Quincy Baker as he rocks the rim. How about another one from Oriaku? Perry with a nice dish, which leads to another two-handed jam. And then why not one more to finish this off? As Jalen Scott lobs it to Oriaku, he rips home the one-hander. My goodness, this team is fun to watch. As Frisco Lone Star knocks off the defending 5A state champs Kimball, 61-40 is the win over the Knights. Highland Park taking the court at Capel with the unenviable task of trying to take down the state's #1 team, Plano East. They did well in the first quarter behind sophomore Henry Beckett, hit the fadeaway mid-range jumper there, and then his teammate finds him in the corner for a deep three. Beckett helped the Scots take an early 4-point lead. But then the Panthers got busy. Joe Tran waits for his big man, DJ Hall, to get in position, lobs him the ball. Hall scores and is hacked in the act. 17 points for Hall. Plano East would then take the lead when they moved the ball to the corner. Rashad Ankton nailed 3 of his 13 points with that shot, and the Panthers would run away with this game the rest of the way. Isaiah Brewington uses Hall's pick to get off a three-pointer. Plano East is on to the regional quarterfinals with a 74-45 win, and they will face the winner of our next game. The Allen Eagles taking on Grand Prairie at Hebron High School Friday night. Second quarter, Allen's Trent Payne takes the inbound pass, drives all the way to the hoop for the left-hander. Eagles up by 10. The Gophers go inside to Stephen McLeod, who knocks down the baseline turnaround, but no smile on the face of head coach Barron Brown as Grand Prairie trailed by 16 at the break. Second half, Allen's Caden Myers with the steal. He heads down court, makes a nice little no-look pass to Antoine Shannon, who absorbs the contact and still scores the basket. The Eagles rolled after that. Payne with the catch-and-release three-pointer. It's nothing but net. Allen takes down Grand Prairie 73-42, setting up an interesting matchup with Plano East next week. Duncanville head coach David Peavy letting his star player Caden Edwards know he needs a big game from his junior, and Edwards listened and then executed a nice, sweet lefty three from the corner to get the Panthers going early. For Wiley East, Andrew Murray pokes the ball loose and then gets it on the outlet pass, goes in for the layup, and the Raiders were right in this one. Duncanville would go on a spurt at the end of the first quarter. Edwards knifes through the lane for the strong layup. Good finish there. And then on the very next possession, it's B.J. Davis-Ray making his way through the paint for 2, and the Panthers led 23-9. But Wiley East would not back down. A.J. Overstreet with a 3 off the inbounds. The Raiders pull off the huge upset in double overtime, 84-74, and will face Rockwall in the regional quarters. Saginaw Boswell and South Grand Prairie got together to determine who will make the trip down to San Antonio. SGP comes out on fire. Taylor Barnes is left all by herself and drains the wing three. Then the Lady Warriors break the press and watch the sweet pass from Talia Parker to a cutting Barnes, who scoops home the reverse layup off the glass. But the Lady Pioneers came right back. Sydney Dura finds Selena Carrasco in the corner, and this is good for 3. However, SGP led by 12 at the break. Boswell puts the press on in the second half, and Dura gets a rip and then cruises in for the layup as the Lady Pioneers cut that lead in half. But SGP would figure out the press and begin to break it. Anila Herbert down low gets 3 the old-fashioned way. The bucket and the foul. South Grand Prairie beats Boswell 59-44 to punch their ticket to the Alamo Dome. Duncanville and DeSoto are located 9 miles apart, but the girls had to travel 3 hours to Lufkin for the 6A Region 2 final. First quarter, Duncanville's Layla Coleman goes coast to coast for the floater and gets this little Pantherettes fan excited. Second quarter, Chloe Mann takes her defender off the dribble and gets in the lane for the jumper. Duncanville leading 19-15 at the half. Second half, DeSoto put together a run. Ryan DeSouza with the jumper that cuts the Duncanville lead down to 3, and then Kamora Pruitt from right around the same spot hits the jumper as DeSoto was searching for a return trip to state. But it wasn't to be, as Mariah Clayton on the back end of this give and go scores it for the Pantherettes. Duncanville is state bound as they beat DeSoto 46-39. Mansfield Timberview taking on Argyle in the Region 1 final for Class 5A. First quarter points were hard to come by. Emily Jones with a bucket in the paint for the Lady Wolves. That was their only basket in the first quarter. Argyle would score when Gamby Campbell catches Landry Murphy going through the back door. Lady Eagles up 11-10 at the break. Second half, Campbell decides to score herself. She pulls up in the lane, and Argyle goes up by 4 points in the third quarter. Later in the third, Cameron Wilson knocks down a three-pointer for Timberview, and the Lady Wolves would lead by 4 after 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, they would pull away. Christian Coleman with the scoop layup for 2 of her team-high 13 points. Timberview wins this one 44-35, and the state's #1 team is heading to San Antonio. The state's #1 team in 5A for the boys' side is Lancaster, and they had no problems advancing to the regional quarterfinals with a win over Mount Pleasant Friday night. The Tigers are led by dynamic playmaker Dylan Battie, who is also this week's Parker University MVP. At Lancaster, Dylan Battie is a human highlight film. If you leave him an open lane to the hoop, he will put on a show. Dylan has the basketball pedigree, too, as his dad won a state title with South Oak Cliff in 1992, and his uncle was a top 5 NBA pick in 1997. But Dylan has paved his own way. With his athleticism, Battie could play just about all 5 positions on the court and score from anywhere. His Tigers are the #1 5A team in the state, and after Dylan is done with his playoff run, he will be heading to his dad's alma mater, Temple, to play his college ball. Dylan now joins us with the bobblehead. What do you think?
Hey, man, he looks just like me.
A little shorter, but it looks good.
Yes,
all right, well, we saw in the highlights that you love roughing up those rims around the Metroplex, but you aren't just a dunker. Tell me, what part of the game do you pride yourself on the most?
I think I pride myself most on my playmaking. My shooting's looking really nice. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm all around getting better every day.
That's how it should be.
Yes, sir.
As we mentioned, your dad won state with South Oak Cliff, went on to play at Temple. Your uncle, Tony Battie, had a 15-year career in the NBA. What's the best piece of advice they've given you?
They tell me to play hard every game, make sure I leave nothing on the floor, and just make sure I win, really.
I'm curious what they've told you about the next steps, college and potentially the NBA.
It's just harder, stronger, faster. Be prepared, make sure you play smart, and those are the keys.
Well, talk to me about this year's Lancaster team. You guys have just been dominating everyone. 5 or 6 times you've scored over 100 points.
Yeah.
Can this be the Tiger team that brings that state title back to Lancaster?
Absolutely. You know, we got all the pieces we need. We got 2 great forwards, some great guards, a great coach, and I feel like that's the blueprint.
That's Coach Farron Douglas. He is a good one.
Yes, sir.
And you are committed to play at Temple next year. I'm sure your dad had a lot to do with it, but what about Temple was right for you?
The familyhood, from my visit to the coach to like what they believe I can do for them, and everything. It's in a nice city. Yeah.
You know, Dallas people don't think Philadelphia is a nice
Nah.
city. But you liked it. You said it's right downtown.
Right in the middle of the city. So hopefully it's fun.
All right. Well, that's Dylan Battia and his bobblehead. Congratulations and good luck over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back, we will have more girls regional final action, plus take a look at a real-life Field of Dreams right here in South Dallas. Let's go to Garland for the Class 5A Region 2 final between Princeton and Frisco Liberty. Watch this pass from Mariah Hart to a cutting Tariah McCoy. Princeton led 10-9 after the first quarter. Liberty applied the lockdown defense starting in the second. That's their star sophomore, Jacia B, blocking the shot and firing up court to Natalia Soto for the easy deuce. Liberty by 9 at the break. The Redhawks kept up the intensity in the third. Kiara Roseby scored the first 5 points coming out of the half for a 28-12 lead. From the end of the first quarter to the middle of the third, Liberty went on a 27-2 run. That's a B with the assist to Judith Aluga. Liberty allowed just 7 points combined in the second and third quarters. They beat Princeton 53-26 and are headed back to state, looking to go back-to-back. Also, congratulations to Dallas Lincoln for making it to the state tournament. You know, down in South Oak Cliff, the Golden Bears are known as powerhouses in many sports like football, basketball, and track, but not so much in baseball. Pat Doney tells us in our Inside Story that success on the diamond may be coming soon for Sock, thanks to the generosity of an old-school cowboy.
There is plenty to do on the Hatley Ranch before the school day begins.
You gotta wake up early in the morning, feed animals, make sure nothing wrong with them.
Clean out their stalls, clean out their feet.
Working around the ranch, it's not just something easy that anybody can do.
Once the chores are done, King and Kiel Hatley leave their ranch home in Lancaster and head to school at South Oak Cliff. But just because they walk the halls at one of Dallas ISD's inner city schools does not mean the boys leave their cowboy side at home.
People used to laugh at me and make fun of me, but freshman year and sophomore year, I used to wear it a little bit, but it started kind of getting to me. But now I don't really care what nobody got to say, because that's my style, that's what I like to wear.
And I always tried to put them in positions like, son, don't let the environment change you, change the environment.
The boy's father, Kielron Hatley, has certainly done his part to change the environment. Back at the ranch, Kielron transformed some of the land out front into his own Field of Dreams.
Actually, it was just a pasture. And before purchasing the place, when I drove in and the boys was little, you know, I was like, that's the baseball field right there.
So Hatley constructed Field 42 as a place for inner city kids to practice baseball whenever they wanted. And to the left of the turfed field, you'll find a batting cage, which is open all year long to any kids who want to get the work in.
To the inner city kids, man, it's such a disadvantage. If it's not a basketball court or football field, you can't compete.
This gives us an opportunity to sort of reach out to other kids, especially with what's happening now, and potentially have, other young men, potentially be interested in playing, because the key is, and as we proved in football, when we got the resources, we were able to get the kids.
It just changed my whole way, because when I was younger, I wasn't really the best on the field. I was big and all this and that. But ever since I come here consistently and just really honing in on what I wanted to do, I jumped in like everything.
They come in here about the droves, man, all at night. Sometimes I hear the dogs barking at night, wondering what it is, and you just step outside and listen, you hear bing, bing, bing. There's some mod in here, there's diesel in here. Everybody wants to come and get some work in, because it's nowhere around that gives you that opportunity to do it.
The batting cage is decorated with memorabilia from the Negro Leagues, which Kielron hopes will motivate the kids to pave their own way in the sport. It's already inspired his son, King, who's a promising prospect that dreams of making it to the big leagues.
Anytime I'm tired, I'm like, I don't want to hit, or I just look at all the names all on the walls, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do it, because it's a reason. I can't have all this stuff and then just go work a regular job one day. I got to go to the league.
Nobody believes until you do it. Until you do it, then everybody come. I tell you, so be that icon, be that trailblazer, cut the road out and watch it just pour. It might not be in your time, It might be out there, but if you can set the tone, they're coming. That's what I like to see, that all this paid off, you know, and we can show that the inner city can do it.
What a terrific story. All right, when we come back, we go next level with a guard out of the Colony. Mansfield Lake Ridge taking on Wiley in a 6A Region 2 area round game. Wiley's Noah Mallory with the step back three. It's off target, but this is why you follow your shot. Mallory gets the deflection, still turns it into 2 points. The rest of the game was all Eagles. Matthew Alexander, the emphatic one-handed dunk, and then off the steal, S.C. Nwakama goes in for the two-handed flush. That earns our Lake Ridge our defensive title belt this week. Fourth quarter, Eagles get physical off the miss. Amari Rose rips the rebound away. He scores and is fouled. And then Amir McMillan throws an alley-oop to Nwakama, who gets undercut, but still scores. Lake Ridge advances to the regional quarterfinals with a 55-37 win. The Colony has moved on to the regional quarterfinals and is ranked 9th in the state. Sean McFarland from the Dallas Morning News tells us about a guard for the Cougars who has helped spark this terrific season.
Stars are often born in the playoffs, and in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's no shortage of stars, especially on the basketball court. Dakari Spear looks like he's the next one to shine. Spear, a 4-star recruit in the class of 2026, has helped lead a state-ranked The Colony team to one of its best seasons in years. He averaged 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals per game this season for The Colony. His numbers are ridiculous, and it led to The Colony being one of the best teams in the entire state and one of the best offenses in the entire country. According to Synergy, a national basketball analytics database, The Colony averages the 3rd most points per possession in the country. Plenty of that can be credited to Spear. At 6'4", Spear has the ideal size of a combo guard. He has the game to match it too. He has a quick, smooth release from three-point range, knows how to run the break, finish against contact, and he competes on defense. The scariest part, he still has 2 more years of high school basketball. Spear is the #1 sophomore in the state of Texas and a top 50 recruit in the nation. In this postseason, he has a chance to establish himself as a star in the making.
When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the best plays from last week. That's going to do it for this week's show. We leave you now with some of the best plays from last week's action in our Kroger Plays of the Week.